This is the Marathon Handbook Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Doyle. I am joined, as always, by my partners in crime, Alex here and Katelyn Tossi. Guys, we are going to preview the 2025 Berlin Marathon, which is upon us already this coming weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to take on one listener, viewer question. We'll get to that in a second, to kind of tease the forthcoming fall mailbag episode, which we will be doing next week. Before we get into any of that, Katelyn Tossi.
The YouTube viewers, do you notice anything different about Katelyn before Michael reveals what happened last weekend?
Gosh.
She's slightly transparent, a little ghost-like.
I am just a shell of my usual self.
A shattered woman. So Katelyn did a 100-miler this past week in Colorado, the Run Rabbit Run. How you doing? How you feeling?
Actually, I'm feeling a little bit better today. And I would like to say, it's so funny when you guys are, she ran a 100-miler. I thought you were going to say like Friday, or it would be great if you could say a day. But, this past weekend, like Friday to Saturday.
Well, that's literally how long it took.
That's literally how long it took, is you run through the
That's
night
right.
into the next
More
day.
than one day. Yeah.
It's more than one day. Just, a little bit more than one day. No big deal. I'm doing okay. I'm doing better today. I went out for a jog, but it was like a jog hike to kind of see. I wanted to test the waters and see how the body is and everything. And luckily, no pain. So
good.
That's a good sign.
Good. Just some DOMs, or do you have DOMs?
You know what, Alex? This is an interesting thing about 100-milers. I had DOMs finishing the race, because there was so much time.
So then you just said OMS. Not delayed onset muscle soreness, but onset muscle soreness.
Onset muscle soreness.
I was actually, I was literally thinking about that, because these lovely race directors decided to do because this was in Steamboat Springs, right? So it was at a ski resort. It started and finished at the Steamboat Springs ski resort. And we began by climbing up one of the paths, where the, ski lifts are, the gondolas are right below that. So we were climbing up this first, basically a vertical kilometer to start the race. And we ended on the same kind of note to get back to the start finish. So we went, it was 10 kilometers downhill, but it was very steep. It was like a sick joke for us 100-milers, because finishing a 100-mile race on an extremely steep downhill, not going to lie, I walked a whole lot of it. I literally was speed walking faster than trying to run down it because of the DOMs, because the DOMs had just set in at the end of the race because my quads are shot.
Wow. So
I just throw myself down the 10-kilometer hill. I just be like, to hell with this. I don't care anymore. I'm just doing a somersault for the next 20 minutes.
I thought of it. I was like, is it going to be possible? Can I just like when I was a kid and you just go on the side of a hill, go horizontal and just roll down? That's exactly what I wanted to do. It would have been faster.
Wow.
My God.
Are you happy with your weekend?
I am. I am happy. The race was a really big challenge. Trail runs in general, trail races in general, it's really hard to know how you're going to do. You have to really study the race beforehand. And perhaps I kind of glazed over some big details. The fact that most of it was going to be run at 10,000 feet. The elevation was definitely a factor.
God.
Yeah, it made it like a big challenge, because what we would do is we would ascend the 1,000 meters, but then we would run for, 20K up at that elevation and then come back down and then run back up. So it was really challenging because of the elevation of just running at elevation for so long. Also the elevation gain, going up and down the mountains a bunch of times. I would say I am really happy with it. I was, for those who have followed the podcast for a long time, I had kind of like this deal with my running partner. You guys met Jonathan at the Boston Marathon. He paced me for the Boston Marathon, which was awesome. He definitely excels in road running a lot better than I do. And it's kind of the flip side for the trail run. So I said to him that I would get him through his first 100-miler. And it was actually really nice because it made it like a team effort. It always helps to have someone with you so you can kind of take each other out of those really dark moments when you're going for so long. And so we are happy with it because we were able to finish. There are a lot of people who end up DNFing in these kind of races. we were presented with 2 hailstorms.
Oh, fun.
I think that was the biggest challenge. Yeah, and we had some of our friends from Costa Rica who were there as well. You know, we're not used to the cold. I brought a lot of gear to be prepared for that. You know, pants to put on. My pack weighed a ton, but that's kind of part of the deal. So we were running through a rainstorm and a hailstorm when it was dark, like in the middle of the night, and that was a hard trip. And actually, Michael, I know that you're not a big social media person. I don't even think I have Instagram. Do you have Instagram? Do you even have Instagram?
Oh, sorry. Side channel here. Someone yesterday asked Michael, I was present for this, what his socials were. And then Michael just awkwardly started to laugh. And then this person didn't know what to do. Michael, you got to make an Insta.
I just said, all I said to the guy was,
I'm a ghost.
Okay. I thought you didn't have one because I'm like, Michael's a pal. I think I would have him on Instagram if he had it.
I live vicariously through the Marathon Handbook channels. I am always there with you. I'm looming in the background of the Marathon Handbook and Instagram. My presence can be felt there symbolically.
I should have tagged Marathon Handbook then, because Michael, you were, I think, the only person. I gave a shout out to only 2 people, and you're one of those people.
Oh, so did you?
Yes, I did.
You're luring me into Instagram,
and I was the other, or
okay.
My pals. Michael wrote me a WhatsApp message before the race with some it was a nice, short and sweet message with some strong words. And Michael said to me in that message, he said, "Be relentless." And through this really tough part in the middle of the night, it was crazy, Michael. I just took what you said and I turned it into my mantra. So I said aloud maybe 200 times. I was relentless, 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 because I was running in the rain, in the hail, in the middle of the night, and it was a single track trail, and I was like leading the train of a bunch of people who are behind me, just trying to get through. I had to power through, and I wanted to just stop running and curl up in a ball on the side of the trail and just freeze to death, because I didn't want to keep going through this, but I had to, and I just said relentless, relentless, relentless a million times. So I thank you, Michael, for that message, because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not exaggerating whatsoever. It literally got me through an hour and a half of running in a rainstorm. So thank you.
The next time, I promise you, I'll go 1 or 2 syllable word. Relentless, I'm sure, became really annoying after the 150th time through.
Yeah. No, it was great.
So, Alex, and the doomsday clock of midnight being when Alex Sear decides to do an ultra, did it just move backwards from like 12:01 a.m. to 12 a.m., like all the way back to like, we're totally safe, you're never running an ultra, when Katelyn just described it as, I'd rather curl up in a ball and die than continue?
Yeah, I think just like ultras, I've crossed the day clock, and now I'm maybe a whole day prior to this whole doomsday calendar.
The doomsday clock actually isn't even like, it's like on the opposite day. It's on day -1.
Yeah, and what got me was that when I went online to see Katelyn's result and wasn't sure what to say, because when my friend runs a 10K and they run it in 30x minutes, I know to say, wow, congratulations, or oh, that's okay, you'll get it next time. But the only feedback that I had was Katelyn ran 100 miles over the weekend, over 2 hailstorms and 10,000 feet of elevation. Her time was somewhere between 20 and 30 hours. What am I supposed to, like, is this a congrats? Like, I'm happy you're alive. Is this a better luck next time? I'm glad that you said that you're happy. Now I know what to say.
All of those things at the same time.
All of the above. No, I am really happy with it. We finished it. We got to the finish line. It was and it was really tough. It's crazy. You never know what you're going to get. My first 100 miler, I did it in like, I think 6 hours less, but it was because of the conditions. It's just so crazy. I ran Vermont as my first 100 miler, and it's like these beautiful rolling hills. The weather was perfect. It was beautiful. You have these big open roads. It's open, trail roads. There's not so much single track as there was in this race. Because, in the beginning, you're just like in this big long line, and there were a lot of people. Well, it's not a lot of people for a road race, but think there were over 400 people doing this, this kind of small town 100-miler out there, and just a lot of people with a lot of grit. It was awesome. Oh, something I do want to mention. My running partner and I, and Victor, my husband, who ran with us for, I think about 50K, 60K. And then he's like, peace out, guys. I'm out of here. You're going too slow.
I saw that. I saw Victor's name up higher than yours on the results. And I was like, that's an interesting conversation at dinner after the race or on the flight home for several hours.
Just took off. He didn't even say anything. He just took off. Like, we literally spent the whole beginning of the race together. And then during the rain, he was just like, you guys are going too slow for me. And he just took off. So shout out to Victor. He ran a wonderful race. But I think maybe there were 5 people in the entire race, Victor and Jonathan and I included, the only ones who didn't use hiking poles.
Oh, yeah. Probably a good thing to have at that elevation, especially if you're describing having to go up and then stay at that elevation and then go down and then come back up again. All that up and down. Poles could be useful.
Something for us to consider. I did realize that now this seems like a staple in the trail running community. Yeah. Not here so much. We don't use them as much. And we should, because in Costa Rica we have a lot of really steep hills, but it's just not as common to use them. I've used them for like a vertical kilometer, but I don't really use them for these long races. And I think that could have given us a little bit of an edge if we had some poles to use during the race. So it's what we're going to consider for the next one.
Lecky.
Yeah.
She's right there waiting for the sponsorship. Just contact podcast@marathonhandbook.com. She'll gladly test out a set of poles for you and totally crush the next 100-miler. Well, congratulations, Katelyn Tossi.
Thank you.
Do you wear you get a belt buckle? Are you wearing it right now? Do you wear it to like hold up the shorts in Costa Rica? Do you walk around with a belt buckle on? It feels aggressive.
But yeah, it's pretty heavy. I have not, but maybe I should have put it on for the podcast. I didn't think about it. But yes, I have this nice, beautiful, shiny belt buckle. That's what we get for 100-milers for those who aren't familiar with them. Instead of a medal, if you finish a 100-mile, you get a buckle. And we got a special buckle because we finished in under 30 hours. So they're also the like time, 30 hours. So they're like these different time checkpoints. And if you get under specific times, you get a special belt buckle. So yes, I got it. I'm very happy. Thanks for following me, guys. I know you were up all night making sure that I got through all of the checkpoints.
Checkpoints, worrying every hour. My wife's my kid. What's happening with? Actually, my kid did ask, "What's happening with Katelyn?" So,
that's so sweet. Yeah. Oh,
now congratulations!
Yes,
thank you.
Congrats, and you know that in less than 3 months, the 3 of us will be united in San Antonio, Texas, for the running event. And there's usually one night when we leave the running event and head out to a bar to catch up and talk about life. I fully anticipate you wearing that belt buckle on. All right,
night. I'm bringing it.
Even if it's the Christmas bar.
Dancing. Okay.
Last year we did the Christmas themed bar in Austin, Texas, which was just odd, but great. Good setting. This year maybe we'll do like total Texas.
Yeah.
Like rancher style, like cowboy cowgirl bar. We'll do that.
Mechanical bull. Let's go.
Boy.
If it doesn't have a mechanical bull, we leave. That's the only rule. Okay.
Sounds good. Can't wait.
All right, guys, let's take a quick break. Then we're going to do one listener question. And it's a good one. It's a really good question that like got me thinking. It was like, this is a whole episode. We will not turn it into a whole episode, but we will do one listener question to tease next week's mailbag themed episode. And then after that, we promise you we'll get into the main course of the pod. We'll talk all about the Berlin Marathon. We will be right back.
You wouldn't run in someone else's shoes, so why hydrate like someone else? Scratch Labs have built a hydration system for athletes who want to dial in their hydration plan. Different weather, different effort, different needs. That's what the Scratch Labs system is all about. Use Sport Hydration Drink Mix for everyday workouts. Super high carb drink mix when you need serious fuel. Unsweetened drink mix when you want hydration with light taste. An electrolyte booster when the heat turns up and your sodium needs follow. Right now, Scratch is offering a free hydration bundle. Just pay the shipping. You'll get 5 single-serve drink mixes and the option to add electrolyte booster. Go to our link in the show notes and use the promo code Marathon Bundle, all one word, to get your bundle today.
All right, we're back. So next week, we've got our big fall mailbag episode where we answer your questions. If you have a question for us, it could be about training, it can be about shoes, it can be about it can be life advice, it can be about we got one email directed specifically at me about music, which I'm totally going to put into the episode and take on. I feel seen or like massively trolled, one or the other. Stay tuned for that next week. So podcast@marathonhandbook.com. Get your questions in. We're going to try to answer as many as we possibly can without turning the episode into like Rogan-esque 6-hour marathon listen, or ultra marathon listen, I guess that would be. And also what you can do is you can send us a voice note, which is super cool. And we want to hear your voice, and we will actually play your recording as we're about to with one of our listeners, their question. You can send it in to us. Just go to our site, go to marathonhandbook.com/podcast. And there is a link. Just click on it. You can do it on your phone or your computer, and then just talk to us, ask us the question. I think you got a minute or two to get the question in, and then it gets sent directly to us and we will play it. So we've got one question. I'm going to tee it up right now. We'll give it a listen, and then let's dig into that question. You guys ready?
Ready.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is pretty cool that you can do a little voice recording and send it in. My name's Gavin. Used to play college soccer, and now I'm really into running and doing some marathons. So I resonate a lot with Katelyn's story a little bit. And I've kind of binged all your podcasts over my marathon prep this past few months and finally caught up to them all. So one thing I was curious to hear about from you guys and hear you talk about is how you kind of work through the macro cycles and kind of look at long-term goals, starting out at a 3 or 4 hour, maybe not 3, maybe a 4-hour marathon and working your way down to 3 hours, getting down to 240, 230, things like that, and kind of what that looks like and how you go from season to season. I've heard a couple things here and there, but an episode to that would be pretty great. Love hearing everything you guys do and love hearing the work that you guys have done. Love the videos on Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. So keep it up, guys.
Cool. Gavin doing the work for us.
Awesome.
Also teasing to subscribe on Instagram and on YouTube, to follow us on Instagram and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you, Gavin. You're doing all the work. Okay, that's an amazing question. That's a profound question. That is an episode length question.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Maybe in the future we'll just take it on as a full episode, but for now let's do a little mini version of it.
Okay.
What do you think? Alex, you've started this, you've embarked upon this road running career now. Feels like the sky's the limit. Although I know you're a little injured right now, so you're sore. You're literally and figuratively sore.
Right now I'm Icarus, but yes, continue.
Yeah. You flew a little too high close to the sun. You burnt the wings, singed the wings a bit. But you think long term. You're a long term thinker. So yeah. What's your thinking in terms of what Gavin's thinking about here?
My God. So you know what? It's only in the last few years that I've really been able to explore this idea of macro cycles, given that years before then, my macro cycles, if you want to call them that, were decided by injury. I would train until I'd get injured, spend 6 weeks on the shelf, and then start a cycle until the injury would happen again, repeat. But in the last few years, I've really had the chance to try to go consistently for a full year and try to divide my year in different parts and try different styles. So I actually think that it's tough to find a full good year plan. There are some pieces of a year that are givens. Everyone trains for a race in the spring and everyone trains for a race in the fall. And so your baseline 12 to 16 weeks of training, they kind of happen on their own, right? You start a train. Let's let's try the fall just as an example. You start a training plan in August and you go all the way to November, and then that's it. You take your week or 2 weeks off, and then you start building again. But then you're in the winter, and there's like this weird little interlude between when maybe you should start training for a spring race and the time that you're at right now. So I've been trying to work on what to do between the classic fall training block and the spring training block. What's worked for me was realizing that there are races year round. So what I did last time was when I finished my fall block, which was around 16 weeks, I took 2 weeks off and then restarted and trained for the Houston half marathon that was 12 weeks away in January. I think breaking away from this idea that your goal races always have to be in April and May and then October, November actually helped me as a runner because I was able to pack in more specific training throughout the year. But as far as cycles go, I think it's really key to have the time off between. Like, that's what I've noticed. And that's different for everybody. Like, I've been doing this for a while, so I get away with 1 week off. I think a lot of people enjoy the 2 weeks and then after that start to build again. I don't know. Are you guys 1 week people or 2 week people?
1 month.
1 month. Okay.
Yeah. Marathon, you have to. You're I don't mean to old man flex on you here, Sear, but like for the marathon is exponentially more demanding than the half marathon. It is the curve from 21K to 42K is steep, and not only physically but mentally. And I think when you're in the early stages of exploring the marathon, you're very keen to get right into the next one. It's like you did one, you're like, all right, I want to fix all the mistakes I made because there's so much to learn. And usually you're quite motivated and it's hard to hold back. And you kind of want to jump right back into training. And I've learned over the course of many years of doing this that that's a mistake. And now it's come to a point where it's like, I need about a month. I'll take at least a couple of weeks off of no running at all. I'll do at least 1 week of no running, period. Now, I won't allow it even if I feel good. Usually 2. And then like after a couple of weeks, I'll like have a week where I like run a couple of times a week. I'll run when I feel like it, and I'll keep it at like 30 minutes a run. And then after about a month, I'll get into running regularly again, and then I'll ease back into the build. And I feel like that's essential if you're doing marathon over marathon, season over season, 2 marathons a year. I think what Gavin's asking though is like long term, like where do you see, Alex, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Like, do you have like a vision? Like, do you have a vision about like a number that you hope to get to? I know we talk about the danger of external, like those sort of like goals where you just get stuck on a number-based goal and it's not within you. It's just a big number. Cause that's silly. It's like, what's your potential? It's not, for Alex, he's very fast. It's not 63 flat. That's not your potential. Your potential is whatever it is. It's probably an exact number, right?
I see.
Do you think long term? Do you have like a roadmap where you're like, I want to get from here to here to here? And then do you also think less about time goals and more about like what I want to be as a 40-year-old man running or a 50-year-old man?
Okay.
Like where do I see myself? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? What's your 401k plan for running?
Okay, so that's how you took the question. Okay,
yeah, that's how I took it.
All right.
I mean, I think he's talking both specifically in terms of like, how do you plan to make these jumps, and if you feel like you can get these jumps, and how do you figure out what the jumps can be? And then I think there's like an overall sense of like, how do you plan for the future? How do you do the macro planning?
Okay, I see. So I've given myself 2 rules. 1, take it 1 season at a time, and 2, never expect 1 season to be the be all end all, if that makes sense.
That's good. Yeah.
I can't think 5 years ahead. In some ways, my 20s were completely disappointing because I spent so much time injured. And then in some other ways, I've become faster than I ever thought that maybe I would 10 years ago. It's so hard to predict. And I find that it's almost useless to predict because there's so many things that you don't know. You don't know how your life will change in 10 years. You don't know how your body will be in 10 years. Some things you can control, some things you can't. You don't know when the decline may start or if it may not come as quickly as you think. You don't know what breakthroughs you can make. Like Gavin gave us a really long range of times, like 4 hours to 2.5 hours. My quick answer to that is very few people go from 4 hours to 2.5 hours. It happens sometimes, but that's a very rare range. I don't know where you are in that range, Gavin, but to predict something like that is wild, but also it does happen sometimes.
It does happen. Yeah.
It does happen.
It does happen. Somebody who's very new to running and is still relatively young and is athletic and they don't really know what they're doing and they just decide to do a marathon for the experience. They don't really train very much. And then they struggle through 4 hours or whatever. And some people, that's a very admirable achievement. For others, it's like you cross the finish line, you're done. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute, there's all these things that I could learn about how to do this properly. And then you fast forward 5 years and they're running in, sub 3 hours, 240s, 230s or whatever. That happens. It does happen.
Yeah.
It's fairly rare, but it does happen.
So I think I might have taken it even a little. This is interesting. This is going to be fun with all these questions because we kind of all take it differently. What I understood from Gavin as well with the macro cycles is just kind of try to figure out how to start chipping away at your times, right? So what can I do to start chipping away at my times? And like Alex said, that's exactly what I would say. I'm in Costa Rica, so I train almost all year round, and I do take the time off when I need to. Like you're saying, a couple weeks. Obviously, after this 100-mile, I'll probably take 3-4 weeks of just like jogging around a little bit when I can, and then I'll start up another training cycle. So I would say, the consistency is really important, and to not just think of those 2 races and take like really long extended times off between the training cycles. Of course, keeping yourself healthy and being really careful about it. Also, to start chipping away at times is probably going to be pretty gradual. At first, when you run that first marathon, like Michael mentioned, and then you take the second one a little more seriously, you get on a really specific training plan, you might see like a first big jump. And that's always the most exciting marathon, like the second one, where you make that big first jump. And I would say not to get so stressed out about the times and to make sure that you do everything little by little. So, take a season and do shorter races and get fast, right? So not always just thinking about marathon training, but doing, some 10Ks, some half marathon training and get those faster speeds, faster than marathon pace, faster first. And then when you go back to the marathon, everything will have kind of shuffled over. You would have gotten faster at the shorter distances, and that's going to help your overall pace. And doing that by looking at, 5K, 10K training, doing a lot of speed work, and slowly chipping away at those times. And as we've talked about a lot, you can always use those 3K tests as benchmarks and kind of see, how you're doing. And like Michael is saying, the progress can be there and it can be fast. I'm very excited. I'm training. One of my athletes that I'm training, his name is Raul, and we started training and we did like 6 weeks of speed work. He's doing Valencia in December, so we had like a lot of time. And I said, hey, let's do shorter stuff. Let's do some speed work. And in like 6 weeks, he lowered his 3K time by a minute. It was insane. Just kind of focusing on shorter stuff and not just looking at long marathon pace, marathon training based stuff, just short speed. So I'd say you want to start chipping away at your times. You can kind of do that in those off seasons before the marathons and do that shorter stuff. And that will help you with your base speed.
Yeah, I would say that I'm thinking back now. I got in the time machine thinking about this and a few things. One, for sure, you can use your shorter distance performances as broad predictors of where you can go, at least in the short and medium term with the marathon. If we're talking specifically about the marathon is its own beast. It's a tricky thing to figure out. There's a lot of knowledge required. There's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of specifics. But ultimately, I would say Gavin, like if you're new to this and you've run one marathon, you're trying to figure out where to go next from there, the time trial or the 5K race, the 10K, even a half marathon, if those numbers put into a calculator are indicating a faster marathon, that's sort of like kind of where you can go. It's like that's the next target. I would be cautious about big round numbers because they can pull you too far and then set you up for failure. Another thing to consider, something that was said to me when I first started marathon running in a serious way and training kind of in a purpose-built way, which was basically at the very beginning. I got lucky. I fell in with a good group. I had a really good mentor, an older guy who had run quite a bit more than I already had, who had experienced quite a bit of trial and error with the marathon. He said to me, if you're entering the marathon in your 20s or 30s in particular, but even in your 40s, I would say, you've got probably about a 7-year window of regular training and building up and accruing fitness and knowledge and going through the ebbs and flows and the bumps in the road of marathon training specifically. You've got about a 7-year window and 10 to 14-ish marathons where you can really ascend, and you're going to go, there's going to be peaks and valleys in that 7-year window. There's a 7-year window where you can see if you can realize your full potential. And it's going to take a couple years to ramp up even to that point where you're starting to get a sense of where that potential is. It's going to take you 4 or 5 marathons. It's going to take you some failure. It's going to maybe, unfortunately, involve an injury probably at some point as you're trying to like figure out how much mileage your body can handle, what kind of workouts, what kind of training works for you, that sort of thing. There is trial and error to marathon running, unfortunately. And sometimes it ends with like a 6 to 8 week, heartbreak, right? So, but I would say there's some things you can do along the way to improve, to slowly and carefully increase volume, to really learn how to run your easy runs easy and your hard runs hard, to master the long run, to maybe work up to running every day. One day, if you're really into it, figuring out how to intelligently double, things like this, how to deploy a lactate threshold workout, when you should and when you shouldn't do VO2 max work, things like that. All these kind of like sciencey buzzwords that we have used a heck of a lot in the podcast over the last year or so, but are really important terms to understand, both if you're working with a coach or if you're trying to wing it on your own. I would also say, like, longer term, bigger picture, have goals outside of just the marathon, like, or just goals outside of just numbers. Like, I got thinking about this as a guy who might be at the end of the line in terms of personal bests, probably beyond the end of the line. I have to think about what motivates me now, right? And I would recommend to you, because someone said, my mentor in running said to me several years ago, he's like, Michael, this is all going to come to an end at a certain point for you, like this, like, PR after PR after PR. It's going to end. And when that ends, or when like it turns into seconds, and then you'll run a race and you like miss your PR by 10 seconds or a minute or whatever, what do you do then? And how do you continue to motivate yourself after that? Do you want to keep running or not? And you have to figure out, if you're a goal-oriented person, how to set new goals after that. Not to be like, the sky is falling, everything ends, we all die, but like you do have to think about that. And I have been thinking about that a lot in the last few years because I love running. And so something to consider, Gavin. Anyway, any other thoughts, guys? You want to? Good
God, Michael, I feel like you just delivered a masterclass, man. That was really nice. I feel like you were seen
trolling me right now. I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
No, not at all. Not at all. I just found myself listening and nodding. I feel like you were maybe the best person to answer Gavin's question, because you've been at the marathon for, say, you said 12 years, 13 years?
Oh, 15.
15 years.
16
experience.
And I said the 4-hour to 2:30 pipeline is very rare, but you're not far from that either, because what's your worst ever marathon?
I started lower. I mean, my worst ever marathon, like I've only run over 3 hours twice, and one was because of work, because I was like running the New York City Marathon and stopping and doing like these live Instagram updates.
That's the one I was thinking about. So that wasn't legit.
I did that one. And then I had my second marathon ever. I totally screwed it up, and I walked the last 10 kilometers, and it came in at like 3.5 hours or something like that. Cause it was like, I am finishing this marathon, which I'm proud I did that.
That's the ultra mindset. That's what you do no matter what.
Just getting it done. Yeah. I want the damn medal is what I was thinking to myself. Like, I don't even care about medals, but I was like, I want to have accomplished this. I do not want to DNF at any. Apart from that, I think they're all under 3 hours. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So
Still.
my first marathon was 2:51, and then I worked my way down to the 2:30s slowly but surely. It took a couple of years, but yeah.
Cool. Well, I don't know if we can also offer Gavin a mantra, because we seem to be big on those now. And as Michael was delivering his monologue and his sermon, I thought of one that might work. Chapters. I think that's the mantra. Chapters. Take every season as a chapter as you move on. You don't know where it leads. You don't know the end of the book, but try to make the most of every single chapter. And not every chapter is going to be good, but go through it and move forward.
Nice.
And,
I like that.
And like a single run is like a beautiful sentence, a well-constructed, simple, like Hemingway-esque sentence. You know, I went for a run last night. I ran 18K last night in the darkness by myself, almost got trapped in a cemetery that closes at dusk. It's another story for another day. But I just loved it. I just loved running. I was like, I just love running. I like this act. I like this. I like being in my own head. I just like to run. And I think if you feel that way about running, figure out how to construct a life where you're just going to achieve that on a day-to-day basis. And if you can do that, you're going to live a very happy life, I think.
It's also great for getting girls. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's true. We all have met our partner. No, actually, Alex did not meet his partner through running.
No.
But
No. She got sucked in.
But she's like, what the hell did I sign up for?
She's trapped now.
All right, guys. And on that note, that went way more profound than I thought it was going to go. Podcast at marathonhandbook.com. We promise we will not
spend 20 minutes on each question.
Spend 20 minutes on each question and like lower the boom of existential philosophy on you in our mailbag episode next week. But please do send your questions and your voice notes to us because we want to hear your voice. We want to hear what you've got to say and your questions as well. All right, let's take one last break and then we're going to let's just get right into Berlin and let's.
Is that what this podcast is about?
Yeah, this is the Berlin Marathon. It's happening on Sunday.
I hope we haven't lost everyone.
Yeah. What the hell is going on? I came for Berlin. I had to go for this. Okay, we shall be right. All right, the 2025 Berlin Marathon. It is the second major of this fall slate of world marathon majors. It takes place this Sunday at 9 o'clock in the morning, I believe, is when the first wave and the elites go out, which, geez, that sounds kind of late to start a marathon.
Seems very late. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially in September. We'll talk about the implications of climate change in a minute here when we talk about the weather for this Sunday's race specifically. First things first, we did a full deep dive on the history of the Berlin Marathon for our 2024 preview podcast. You put a link. I will put a link in the show notes to that episode if you really want to go deep on like when the very first rollerblade event took place in the 1990s, because Berlin still does an inline skating marathon, I believe the day before the running race takes place. So Berlin Marathon, the inaugural Berlin Marathon was in 1974, which is kind of cool to think about historically because East and West Berlin were separated, and one side is the Western world and aligned with North America and Western Europe. The other side was effectively part of the Soviet bloc. The marathon ran in West Berlin. And today, obviously, some of that history and the importance of Berlin as a fault line in geopolitics is on full display. But if you want to listen to more details about that, listen to last year's podcast. We'll put the link in there. First time it became a world marathon major, 2006. Does that surprise you guys? Does that sound like a long time ago or not? It feels like not that long a time ago.
No, it seems like not that long ago. Yeah, it seems like it was pretty recent.
Yeah, I wasn't born. From what I recall, Berlin was always a major from what I can remember.
Hold on, yeah. And let's maybe we shouldn't be playing this game yet again. Although we haven't done this one in a while. The What Were You Doing in 2006 game.
What was
to
I
Costa
doing in
Rica.
2006?
I moved to Costa Rica in 2006.
Oh, cool. You moved to Costa Rica. Big life change.
I did, because I had graduated college in 2004, taught for 2 years, a choral director in Massachusetts, and then said, all right, I'm going to Costa Rica. I want to learn some Spanish.
I was living in Montreal. I was going out I was eating dinner at midnight, steak frite. You know, I was, you know what? That's not true. 2006, that was my first real year of running, of like adult running, of like getting into running. Yeah, 2005, 2006. 2005, I was toying with it. 2006, I started to become obsessed quietly on my own. Didn't run with anybody else. I was doing those weird 10K.
The 10Ks as fast as you can every night. Alex, Michael and I, we don't really want to hear what you were doing in
diapers, Teletubbies. What stage were we
in
at?
2006, I beat the Pokemon Gold Game Boy game for the first time.
Nice.
And finished third in the Novice Boys Provincial Championships on Prince Edward Island.
Eat your heart out, Kipchoge.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I lost to a pair of cousins. It sucked.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Cousins.
Yeah.
So 2006, become a world marathon major. I think before we hit record here, we started chatting about this. I think at some point we should do an episode on the history of the world marathon majors, a deep dive on the world marathon majors, because it becoming, what was it? It became the 5th world marathon major. Now there are 7. And it got me thinking, like, I don't know a lot about like the origin story of the world marathon majors besides, New York, Boston, London, Chicago being kind of the kernel of the whole idea. And it's grown since then, obviously. Course records.
Mm-hmm.
They may sound familiar to you. 2:01:09 for the men's race. Mr. Eliud Kipchoge, that was the world record in 2022 when he ran it there in Berlin. Guy had a love affair with the Berlin Marathon for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And then the women's record, 2:11:53 from Tigges Sasefa in 2023. No, wait a minute. It's not the current world record. It's the second fastest.
But it might be.
We
don't know yet. Asterisk.
Yeah. So those are some pretty spicy course records.
Yeah.
And pretty impressive historical performances too. Pretty big moments. Question for you guys. I say Berlin Marathon. What is the first image, thought, word that comes to mind? Katelyn Tossie.
Speed. Yes, I would say speed is first, just because of all of the world records that Berlin has on its list. And when we think of Berlin, and Alex has mentioned this a lot, when he power ranks his marathon majors, he always power ranks them thinking of speed and thinking of experience. And when we think of speed, we think of Berlin. We think of Berlin, we think of Chicago, right? And maybe Tokyo in there. And so when I think about Berlin, I think people are going there, especially the elites, to run their fastest race ever, their PR, and trying to chisel away at those world records.
Yeah. So I thought about this because I figured you would ask it because you asked it last year. Last year I also answered speed, and Katelyn answers speed this year. And then it got me thinking about something that a friend of mine said not that long ago. A friend who may or may not also be on this podcast. The theory was about mustaches. All right. People grow mustaches and they hinge on their mustaches as a stand-in for a real personality.
Katelyn, how dare you say that about the Gen Z mustache? How judgmental.
I did not say that.
And so it got me thinking about Berlin. And I think Berlin hinges on its speed as a stand-in for a real identity.
Whoa. That is a hot take.
Hold the phone.
And why is this? As soon as we started thinking of Chicago as the new fast major, we immediately started questioning what was cool about Berlin. Berlin was speed because of Bekele Kipchoge, the huge names that it pulled in the last 5, 6, 7 years, Asefa, setting a world record that at the time looked like a typo. That was it. So what comes to mind when I think of Berlin? I think it needs a rebrand. It needs a rebrand. What else do we know about Berlin that isn't speed? There's a lot of people at the marathon. And also, the speed notation is a little problematic for Berlin because, yes, if you're an elite athlete, you will run fast.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the experience of everyone who runs Berlin. That we've been hearing time and time again that if you're in the middle of the pack, which is essentially everybody, it can be hard to run fast because it's a quite encumbered marathon. It's a busy one. There are people all around you. You're jostling for position. And sometimes that hurts the results. So, man, I don't know what's the word that comes to mind at this point. I think Berlin needs to work on its marketing.
You know, my second word was going to be crowded, Alex.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I thought fast, I thought crowded, I thought historic. And those are like the three words that came to my mind because I have heard a similar thing for recreational runners. I mean, there's just so many people there, right? Because we're going to get into this, but at one point, Berlin was the biggest marathon with the most participants. And so you have to expect that it might be a little crowded. I have not personally run it, but I have spoken to people who have, and they do feel like at times it feels a bit crowded in there.
Yeah, and they can't even claim to be the biggest marathon in the world or the biggest major because that's London, right?
Mm-hmm.
London currently has the world record, or at least the record amongst the world majors. Also the world record for most participants in a marathon. They set that just earlier this year.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first word that comes to mind for me is Kipchoge. Because
Mm-hmm.
Kipchoge won Berlin 5 times. And Kipchoge's career in a nutshell is dominate London in the spring, dominate Berlin in the fall, and run world records in Berlin as well. So I think the alignment between Kipchoge and Berlin is unassailable, unbreakable. I think I have no idea if Mr. Kipchoge is going to pop up to Berlin for a nice weekend and say hello to the good people of the city. I think it would be. It is an Adidas race, not a Nike race. There's probably a greater likelihood if he's getting on an airplane that he's coming to Chicago than he would be going to Berlin. He's obviously running New York, so perhaps he's just going to be deep in training and not wanting to be traveling. I imagine that's probably what he's going to do. But I think about Kipchoge. I also think, to sort of stretch things a little bit or to modify what you're both saying, I think a phrase would be once a PR course, ? Like ... ellipsis, whatever you want to use. Because I think there was a time, and I think this is where elite athletes have this knock-on effect of the brand or the reputation of a race is world records get run there. You attract a lot of people of all ability levels trying to run their best time, right? Obviously, Berlin is very attractive because it's a world marathon major and people like to bucket list those races. It's a big race. It's a high quality race. Berlin's a great city, good tourist destination. If you've done a few of the other majors, you're like, hey, Berlin, that sounds like a good idea. But also, for a lot of us, it's maybe I can go over there and run really fast. And that was kind of always the mindset. Chicago or Berlin or London to some degree as well. These are the fast world marathon majors. But because there hasn't been a world record in Berlin in a little while, it starts to lose its luster and its reputation. And it's kind of ceded that to Chicago in many ways, right? So as you were saying, Alex. So I think that leads me to the next question, which is let's talk Berlin. Let's talk greatest moment, actually. What do you think the greatest moment in Berlin's 50-year history? They celebrated their 50th running last year. This is year 51. What's the big standout moment? What's Berlin's biggest moment?
Oof.
Just from an onlooker standpoint, as a running nerd, as a fan of the sport, and of somebody who runs, thinks about these majors and talks to other runners, what do you think the big signature moment is in the Berlin Marathon and its history?
I I'm hoping that this is not recency bias and also just the fact that I wasn't alive for those first few years of the Berlin Marathon. But I think this moment is objectively awesome and a harbinger of these current tech fast times. And it's Tigist Assefa's 2:11:53.
You stole mine. You
Did
stole
I?
it, Alex.
It's a
You
good
know what?
moment.
I can
It's a
leave
good
it for you because to
No,
me
go,
it was
go.
either Assefa's 2:11 or Kipchoge setting what was then the world record. But
Take it.
I'll take Assefa, and you add on why you think, because what I loved about it was not only the fact that she ran this incredible time, 2:11:53. Like, remember, we were still digesting Bridget Kosgei's 2:14 marathon at the time, which itself had been faster than Paula Radcliffe's seemingly untouchable women's world record of 2:15. And then here comes Tigist Assefa, drops a 2:11, which was monstrous, unfathomable at the time. And what does she do when she crosses the line of this Adidas race? She pulls one of her shoes off of her feet. It's the Adidas Adios Pro Evo, which no one knew much about at the time. It was 2023. She hoisted it up in the air, gave it a kiss, and posed with it. And I think it was that moment in that photo was indicative of what was to come. The super shoe era wasn't over. It was continuing. And we were about to see faster times, better tech, maybe more women challenging eventually that 2:10 mark. And all the while, I just kept thinking, okay, we are going to see a lot more, because I feel like around 2023, I at least was a little bit concerned that the cool wave of tech had passed and maybe running would once again dive a bit deep into the Stone Age without much new. Maybe 2017 to 2023 were going to be great years. And then after that, everyone was just going to run in the Vaporflies every year and people would lose interest. But to me, that signaled a new chapter, and it happened in Berlin. And I have that photo just etched in my mind.
I'd say there's a few like obvious ones that jump out to me. As an older gentleman, I think about Paul Tergat. He was the first guy to run under 2:05. Way back in the day in 2001, Takahashi of Japan, she became the first woman to run under 2:20, which was a huge barrier at the time. And just the history of this race as a world record for the big benchmark numbers. You had Gebre Selassie. He ran 2:03:59. I remember that very clearly. That was a very big moment. And then of course we had, I think the last non-super shoe world record was run by Dennis Kimetto in 2014, 2:02:57, in a pair of ballerina slippers. Like, I used to run in these shoes, the Adios, the old Adidas Adios. I love that shoe, but my God, that's a ridiculously thin shoe, hard, thin, nothing shoe, and the guy ran under 2:03 in that shoe. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I wonder how his
so
legs were feeling the day after that.
Probably not very good. And I would also say last year's 50th anniversary, where they maxed that race out in every possible way, where there was over 50,000 people on the course, and it felt massive. That was a big moment for Berlin as well. Okay, so let's discuss the course. So this course, I think, long celebrated for a great opportunity to run world records if you're an elite at the bleeding edge of the sport. And then for all the rest of us to just try to run your fastest marathon, right? But as we've said before, there's now some kind of questions about whether or not this course is actually, I literally have had a couple of runners say to me, I've run Berlin. It's not as fast as they say it is.
There are a few little lips in there, right? A few little uphills I see in the elevation chart that maybe when you think of Berlin, the thing that comes to mind is pancake flat. And then you take a look at the elevation profile. You take a look at that mile 15 to 16, 16 to 17, 19 to 20, and you say, okay, well, you'll feel those little elevation changes. You'll feel those little uphills, and it's not. I think. I mean, at least when I look at the elevation chart, I would say it's not pancake flat.
Yeah, when you look at you look at the little graphic of each of the World Marathon majors, Chicago is just like pretty much the flat course, and literally has a net gain of 1 meter.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas Berlin is actually very close behind, it's a net loss of 6 meters overall. So highest point in Berlin, 241 meters. That's 73 meters of climbing. Then in terms of downhill, you're looking at minus 79 meters. So Berlin definitely is one of the fastest, kind of grouped in with Chicago, and then also Tokyo as well, even though Tokyo has quite a downhill to start.
Mm-hmm.
It does, but it does have a little bit less gain, right, than Berlin, just barely. Mm-hmm.
That's right. And then London also has a fairly significant downhill in the first 5 kilometers as well. The issue with Berlin is there's also quite a few turns, and I think if you're mid-pack in this race, it feels very congested. It's pretty tight.
Okay.
The roads of Berlin are a little narrower at places, a little bit of a tighter experience. Would you consider Berlin? Would you consider it for like, okay, Katelyn, I know the back of your mind is sub 3 hour marathon. Can I do it? Yeah. And where do you, when you're doing your list of like top, let's say we're each creating, Alex, you're going to do your debut marathon, and you're all about speed. So you're going to write your top 10 list for your debut marathon. And Katelyn, you're going to write your top 10 list for your sub 3 attack. And I'm going to write my top 10 list for the old guys still got it. I'm not dead yet. And I need to run on a fast course. Does Berlin, does it crack the top, say, 3 or 4 finalists? And does it get on the top 10? And if so, is it like right up there as a contender for either of you?
It is for me. I would love to run Berlin, and it does look nice and flat. And like you said, the only issue would be the congestion. Is it not? Who knows how it would be on race day, but I feel like it is up there because it is one of the faster ones. Now, Michael, you have always told me, though, that if I want to run my PR for a marathon, that I shouldn't choose a major. Right. So that you should choose not such a big marathon. And I remember you mentioning Philadelphia as being one of those good marathons to go for a PR. So thinking and you taking your advice, I would probably put those smaller, flat marathons first if I really want to focus on a PR. And I would like to go to these majors where also to run fast, but to have fun as well, to really enjoy the experience. But it is absolutely up there for me because I really do want to run all of the majors, and it's on the top half of my list.
See, I'm not so bullish about Berlin, and here's why. I want to do it one day, and I want to do marathons that are fast, and Berlin is fast. But what it is for me is that when you're chasing speed, I've come to appreciate that displacement really matters. I live in Toronto. I would much rather race Chicago if I'm looking for speed. You get rid of the whole jet lag, which is so significant. Like, I'm giving myself probably 3 days before the race, because any longer and then I'm in vacation mode and I need to do everything different in terms of food, and I'll want to sightsee and stuff. If I'm all business and I want to run fast, I don't want to change time zones. I'm going to go to Chicago and I'm going to run that. But eventually I'd want to do Berlin. I'd like to do all the majors. I want to do them so that I can compare them. And that's a part of what I want out of my next, say, 10 years of running. Where am I in 10 years? I'll have my 6 or 7 stars medal, or whatever, however many there are at this point. But no, I think I'll do Chicago beforehand. I think I'll do London beforehand, maybe even Boston.
London is the one we're going to run together, guys. Don't forget.
We're all holding hands, remember? We're all
correct.
Yes. Alex, you guys are just going to pull me along.
I'm about to pull a Victor on you guys, just letting you know.
See ya.
Now it's pulling a Victor. I love it. See ya.
So yeah, I it's on the top 10. It would be on the top 10 for me. you're right, Katelyn. I do feel pretty strongly that there's like a lot of factors that would go into it, but if all things being equal, like if I lived in Germany, if I lived in Berlin, it would be top 3 probably. It would be a target race because you're removing the factor of jet lag. For us in North America, it's you're having to factor in a 5 or 6 hour time zone difference. So you're having to get there. If you want to really perform well, you probably have to get there right early in the week, and then just sit around and do nothing for a week, which would just drive me crazy being in Berlin, which is a great world-class city. There's other ways to run a personal best than to go to a major. Majors also have a lot of behind the scenes complexity to them. And they're over in terms of just like getting to the start line.
Logistics. Yeah.
Logistics. Feeling like you're ready to, like, you don't have to warm up very much when you're doing a marathon, but like feeling like you're ready to run the marathon when you're just like standing there for an hour in a corral waiting for the race to start. But then there's all the upside. Huge crowd, lots of people to run with. You're not going to be strung out on your own at any point. Make all kinds of new friends as you're running the race, which is always fun. For me, I'd like to run Berlin because I'd love to go to the city. There's so much that the city offers. I think I'd like to run Berlin for the reasons that a lot of people want to run Berlin or any of these majors is world-class race, huge field, really cool experience, really like wonderfully organized and run. You get that big city marathon feeling, and then you're in an incredible global city and just get on a train and go to Munich. Oktoberfest is happening. The 190th edition of Oktoberfest takes place. It starts in 3 days.
No. This is it.
Get the marathon out of the way.
I'm doing Berlin. Beer. I'm doing Berlin in 10 years.
Why is that?
For your 40th birthday?
For my 40th birthday and the 200th Oktoberfest.
There you go.
That's it.
Perfect.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, I've locked it down.
Nice. Good call. Nice synergy there. All right. Yeah, this is a fun exercise that we could do in a future podcast, like our top 10 list of our top 10 races, our top 10 fastest races that we want to bucket list or just bucket list overall and the reasons why, that sort of thing. And let us know actually in the comments or email us. Let us know if Berlin would crack your top 10. Okay. Let's talk about Berlin's role as a world marathon major. Let's get into that. And then we'll talk elite fields. Then I will subject you to what we do with every major preview, which is power rank the world marathon majors as they are right now, totally subjectively in our own minds. Okay, so Berlin's role in the world marathon majors. Right now, our lineup is 7. We start the year off with Tokyo, then we do Boston, London. Take a little break in the summer. The fall slate now begins with Sydney. So we're already into major season. And then Berlin, Chicago. We cap it all off. A little old race called the New York City Marathon. Do you guys think that Sydney has kind of stolen Berlin's thunder a little bit? Berlin was the first marathon of the fall season, the first major. Now London takes that spot. How do you feel about that?
I don't think so. I think the opposite is happening. I think Sydney is going to struggle to take on that role or that place from Berlin. And I think that in the following years, Berlin will still unofficially be known as the early fall marathon. The marathon for those who want to have an earlier one than a later one. I think this year, if anything, was an exception for Sydney because it was the first. And so, there was a lot of money thrown around, which is why Mr. Kipchoge and Miss Hassan were down there. But I think that moving forward, Berlin will remain the unofficial first half because I think athletes rather race in September than in August.
Yeah. I mean, it's the end of August,
early.
But yeah.
Yeah, it might seem a little early. If you run Berlin, you still have to train throughout the summer. But yeah, maybe Sydney's just a little trickier in terms of time. But I don't think any of these marathons are going to suffer, guys. I mean, the lotteries are insane. I mean, what did we have? Almost 1 million people trying to get into London this year.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers are off the charts, and I guess these additions to the Abbott World Marathon Majors are just going to fill with people, just as the rest of the marathons are. I don't think any of them are going to see any decline in participation.
I was going to say, Siri, you're going to get us more hate mail from down under, because like when I had some very light, minor criticisms of not even the race itself,
Broadcast
of the broadcast, which the race had not very much to do with, and also just pointing to the fact that like carving out your identity as a World Marathon Major is a multi-year project, and I'm wondering where that goes. Like, geez, we got. I upset some people.
Yeah. The
I
comments
apologize to our audience
Michael.
in Australia. I'd love to come to the event. I'd love to run the race. It's on my list, of course. Looked like a beautiful event. Really stunning. Yeah, I do think Sydney, actually, speaking of legacy, identity, brand, for lack of a better word, I do think Sydney has an opportunity here to position itself as the first big one in the fall. And they're going to drain a little bit of that elite field. There's only so many 202 and 215 marathon runners in the world that for elite fields. And I think it starts to maybe dilute the field overall for all the World Marathon Majors, especially when you're thinking in terms of like spring majors and fall majors. I think now Berlin is in this competition with these other events. I think Sydney will probably, at least for the next decade, have to really outspend the others to get marquee A-listers like Kipchoge or Hassan to show up at their race. And they very well may do that. They're going to have to. But Berlin, Chicago, they've always kind of battled for like who is in world record shape and who's going to show up, right? This is the elite part of that race. And then in terms of like bucket listing the race, like folks like us, are we going to be more interested in a big trip? And I'm talking from the North American perspective, and I know this is different if you live in New Zealand or Australia. Folks like us, big trip to Sydney, medium-sized trip to Berlin, more reasonable trip to Chicago, kind of, or New York. New York's expensive, but like Chicago's not cheap either. But like that's the thinking, right? I mean, there is a definite financial, economic element to this for everyday runners.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's the case for almost everyone in the world, unless you are from Australia and New Zealand. Like if you're in Europe or North America or even parts of Africa and Asia, it's probably more practical to do either Berlin or Chicago. So that's why I'm not that bullish on Sydney yet. It's far and it's not known to be fast. They have a hill to climb.
Yeah, it's great for a bunch of my runners. I train a group of runners in Singapore, and Sydney is right there. So they have run Sydney. They ran it as a world major, and last year when it wasn't a world major yet. And so I mean for them it's perfect. It's right around the corner. So there's something for everyone.
Another secret thing here, and this will flick to the elite fields, is East African runners really like running Berlin, because the time zone shift is not very drastic.
Right.
So this is where elite running, not in a kind of abstract way, not super different than your mid-packer who has got a goal time in mind and is trying to qualify for Boston or just run under 3.5 hours or whatever. These factors, like time zone changes, they affect the body. It's a physiological factor. And if you live in the Rift Valley in Kenya, if you live in Addis in Ethiopia, shorter flight and less time zone shift. Only a couple hours, I think. So prize money as we shift towards talking about the elites.
It's not as much
shocked.
as I thought. Exactly. Yeah. I looked that up this morning, and 30,000 euros for first place, right? Which is quite a bit lower than some of the other, right? 30,000, I think second place was 15,000 and third place 10,000 euros, if I'm not mistaken. You get 50,000 if you get a world record. And there are also something interesting. I don't know if, are there these kind of extra time bonuses in other marathons as well? Because I realize that if you get under 2:02:30 as a male runner, you're going to get an extra prize bonus. And for women as well, if you get under 2:16 or 2:18, there are like these different levels of time bonus prize money.
I'm not sure if they make it so overt, and at the other majors, it's often a subtlety that is not public knowledge, but there are other kickers as well. You know, for appearance, usually it's wrapped up in an appearance fee where it's like, you show up, we're going to pay you X number of dollars. And we'll only pay it to you if you run over 30 kilometers of the race. And then if you run this time or better, you're going to get this amount of money. And if you run this time or better, you're going to get this amount. And then it's the prize money for top whatever and world record or course record as well. And that's published. So I think every race kind of has a version of this, but you know, leave it to Berlin to like, very German, to be like, and this is all, here are all the details in a very regimented way. Okay. So do you want to let's get into the elite race, elite fields.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just jump right into it here. Let's talk about the women's race first. Okay.
Yeah.
The women's elite field is, one word for me would be, actually I've got two words. I've got one phrase and I've got a word. You guys want the word or the phrase?
Go word.
Puzzling.
Puzzling.
Okay.
Puzzling.
Okay, mine was meaner. Okay, what's your phrase?
Rosemary Wanjiru's race to lose.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was going to say watered down, and this is not disrespect. Yeah, I know.
No.
I mean, yeah, not to disrespect the athletes who are there, because they're truly world-class athletes who are there, but we were talking about Sydney maybe diluting other fields. Yeah, I think it did so a little bit. So did the World Championships, and so does Chicago. Like, we're seeing a mega season of marathons right now, and that's probably the direct reason that Tigges Josefa is not back to try to lower her time, or that Sifan Hassan is not coming in to try to take a crack at Tigges Josefa's 2:11, like, or Katema, or a number of athletes who were present at the World Championships. And so, yeah, why is it Rosemary Wanjiru's race to lose? It's because there are some key players in the world of women's marathon running who are not present.
I think we do have 6, and I agree with you, Alex, but I think we do have 6 women under 219, right? And 12,
which is still good.
Yeah, which is still good. It'll have some competition in there
really
for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, on paper, the overall elite fields, men and women combined, it's arguably the deepest, greatest Berlin has ever put together. Although that's a shifting concept as we see more and more athletes running faster and faster over the years. You can't compare an elite field of today to an elite field of even I feel like even 5 years ago, you can't compare, right? So certainly not 10 years ago. So to give Rosemary Wanjiru her flowers here for a second, she has a PR of 2:16:14, which is extremely fast. She won Tokyo, which is a world marathon major, in 2024. So she is a spirited competitor, somebody that we've seen on the circuit for the last few years, mainly running majors and doing pretty well at it. And that's why I say that this would be her race to lose. Because there's no other really big name brand. There's no A-lister here. There is no Sifan Hassan. There's no Tigges Josefa. Do we think she's going to win? We'll put a pin on that because we'll do predictions in a second. Do we think that she's going to do something special, or someone else in this field is going to do something special? put a pin on that one as well when we do our predictions. Remember the course record, which is also, let's call it the unofficial world record, quite frankly, is 2:11:53. Is that correct? I'm just going off the top of my head here, guys. That is held by Tigges Sesefra from 2023. And spoiler alert, I don't think that one's getting touched. But okay, so let's pivot into the men's race here, which would have a similar issue to the women's race if it weren't for one, I will call him a burgeoning potential A-lister. This is in the Hollywood space. Give me who's like an up and coming young actor, or who's like on the verge of like a big breakthrough. They're slated for like a huge franchise.
The 15-year-old kid who became the youngest boy, I guess, to win an Emmy. He was I forget his name, but he was
Adolescence.
the Adolescence. Yeah.
There you go. This is, well, maybe not quite that, because like
he's so young, but
Sebastian Sawe of Kenya, who is not young. He's 29 years old. That's not old, but he is a contemporary of Mr. Sear. Alex, why aren't you fast like Sebastian Sawe? Come on, man.
Oh my God, I'm missing so much time. He's the 5th fastest marathoner in history. 2:02:05 is his best time. He's fresh off a victory at the London Marathon. He's got a win in Valencia. Yeah, but
so
you're right.
He's 2 for 2.
Yeah, and I mean, he's on the cusp, because I guess you only can compare him to Kelvin Kiptum, Elliot Kipchoge, Kennedy Sabikili. He's really knocking at the door. And I would say that my interest in Sawe extends beyond just his running times, because he's put his name down for something I'd say pretty innovative and gutsy and frankly kind of cool. So he made our website headlines not that long ago, and many other headlines, when he, I guess, let's call him an anti-doping influencer. Okay. Stay with me. His sponsor is Adidas, and they paid for a full, rigorous anti-doping protocol that he has been undergoing for the last 2 months. So for the 2 months leading up to the Berlin Marathon, where he is to be tested by the International Athletes Integrity Unit, the AIU, 25 separate times out of competition to make sure that he's not doping. And look, this comes at a time where scrutiny around doping is at a relative high, I would say, in the last few months, and especially in Kenya. There's been a number of Kenyan athletes busted for doping, including, of course, provisionally Ruth Chepngetich. And so that's pretty cool that he's doing that. And Michael, you said this before the podcast, so I don't want to steal your thunder, but you got me thinking. You're like, there's a reason he's doing this.
There's a reason they're doing this. There's a reason why they put this out there a couple of weeks before the race and seeded it with media. Like, there was a press release that went out, and I don't have any inside information, but it made me think, okay, we're probably going to see something very aggressive in the first half of this race if Mr. Sawe is putting himself through all that. Do you guys know what goes into doping control? You guys know what they have to do? They have to make themselves available every minute of every day. They have to indicate their whereabouts at all times. So it's like going to a movie, got to say what movie, what theater, what movie you're going to go see at what time.
And we might show up and take some blood.
We might show up and pull you out of you're 60 minutes in. We might pull you out. Like, you're coming with us. So it's, and then they literally stand in the bathroom with you and watch the urine exit your body to collect it.
Because it has to be yours. They have to be sure it's yours. Yep.
Yeah. There's so many entries of where you are, though. I always wondered why they don't just use Find My Friends. Like, take Sebastian Sawe's phone location and just know where he is all the time.
A live location. It could just follow him.
Yeah, I've seen athletes do this. And it's just like constant entries. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to the, Tough
to have an affair if you're on that list, huh? Tough to
Yeah.
I would
No
say
one-
so.
No one knows you like your anti-doping control officer. Let's put it that way.
That's right. So there's definitely a reason why he's doing this. And I think it's to take a crack at maybe the world record, I think.
I absolutely think so. I mean, do
Yeah.
you guys remember watching him? What I loved about watching him run in London is how aggressive he is in the second half of that race. Do you remember when he just pulled away?
Ruthless.
And he was absolutely ruthless. And I love that kind of racing. I mean, we were just like, what just happened to everyone else? And he just
out of the water station.
Yeah, he just skipped. It almost like he just skipped right through that, took off after the water station, and never looked back. And no one could ever catch up to him again. He's so incredibly aggressive. I think he's absolutely going to take a crack at that world record, and I think he has it in him. That was an exciting race.
So interesting character. 2022, he kind of appears on the scene. He's supposed to be the pacer for the Seville half marathon. And he's just like, gets towards the end. He's like, screw this. I'm winning it. And he won it in 59.
That's amazing.
And then after that, I was like, oh, okay, maybe we should give this guy a crack at the marathon. Now he's 2 for 2 in the marathon. His record is he's got a 2:02:05 from Valencia last December, and then London, which he also won 2:02:27. Totally looked commanding in the last 10K of that race.
Wow.
So he's got like Kelvin Kiptoum light vibes. It doesn't quite have the it's not quite as sparkling as Kiptoum with his like 201s and his 2 flat. But he's 2 for 2. If he runs and runs 201, 2 hours flat, 159 high. We're talking all-timer type stuff. So that's why this race is like, you got to pay attention because something crazy could happen.
And he just wants to be in the clear. He doesn't want any murkiness, anything at all. He just wants to go in saying, I'm completely clean. There's no doping here. This is all me. And if I win this, if I do this, if I break a record, I just want you to know beforehand that I'm clean.
There are athletes that big brands like Nike and Adidas get behind and create a marketing vehicle around and co-brand themselves with, wrap their arms around them. And then there are athletes that they curiously just they still sponsor them, which is questionable, but they just kind of leave them alone. And there was a difference between Eliud Kipchoge, Faith Kipyegon on one hand, Ruth Chepngetich on the other with Nike. Ruth Chepngetich was not at Breaking 4, was not super hyped by Nike after breaking the world record and running arguably the greatest time in history of any event, full stop. Sebastian Sawe, Adidas is sort of like wrapping their arms around Sebastian Sawe a little bit here. So I think there's something interesting there. And I should say, before Kelvin Kiptoum died, Nike was like arm in arm with you. I mean, Katelyn, you met Kiptoum with Nike, bringing him to the running event a couple of years ago. So they were getting ready to do the full embrace, and then the tragedy struck. So, okay, we just talked a lot about Sebastian Sawe. There's other people in this field, including the defending champ, Milkesa Mengesha of Ethiopia, who ran really well, sort of the surprise last year when he won Berlin. Although head-to-head with Sawe, he ran London as well this year, and he got dropped off the back by Sawe through that aid station when the big surge came in, and he ended up finishing in 10th. Pretty disappointing, I imagine, for him. Got Gabriel Guille of Tanzania, your boy Alex. He's a pretty consistent performer, 203 runner. Kind of feel like this would be a big moment for him if he were able to defeat Sawe and run really well. Alu of Ethiopia, another depth add there. Ultimately, really deep field overall. It's the head count for runners that have run under,
I think 10 guys under 205 we had there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very deep.
Yep. Yeah. It's going to be intense.
All right. Let's pivot into, let's do predictions here. Let's start with the women's race. Alex, who wins? What's the outcome?
Okay. Wanjiru wins. I just think she's a class above the rest. I think your consensus silver medalist is Degitu Azimeroa of Ethiopia. She runs for the NN running team, and she was second in London in 2021. Like she's got like flashes of brilliance throughout her career. This year, her results were a bit spottier. She won the Lanzhou Marathon.
You've been going deep on the results. I like it.
It's partly me trying to see what is there in the women's field. Like I do think the men's field is very deep, and I think the women's field is, or at least the podium, will be a bit more up for interpretation. I settled on Azimera, whose name I will get right before the Berlin Marathon, as our second place finisher. But I think Wanjiru will win. What I hope is that she has some people to run with. I hope that she does challenge that 2:16:14, because if we say that Sawe is on the cusp between excellent marathoner and world-class all-time, I think Wanjiru is on the cusp between very good marathoner and one of the absolute elites. I want to see her climb into the Sifan Hassan Tigges de Sefa ranks, and I think this is as good an opportunity as any for her to get it. So I'm going to go Wanjiru, Azimera, and let's go with Dara Dida in third place. She was sixth in Berlin in 2023. And special shout out to the Japanese record holder, Honami Maeda, who, fun fact, is the older sister of our cameraman and videographer, Kosuke Maeda.
What?
Yeah, you guys didn't know that? Yeah.
Kidding?
Are you kidding?
Yeah,
Alex,
that's a total lie. But they have the same last name.
Maeda's like a super common name. It's like
and I thought we may have heard of this from Kosuke at some point.
I might have said something.
He's like, my sister's an elite marathon runner in Japan.
I may have mentioned that.
Yeah, that's a total lie. I think he's also he's on a like full backpacking trip to Asia, and I feel like he would have made a stop to Berlin if that were to happen.
Possibly.
But no, he's coming
I
back.
would say so.
All right, Katelyn, who's your pick for the women's race?
Okay, it was also Rosemary. I'm going with her. I think that also, as Alex is saying, maybe she can try to get a PB here. I don't think she'll be breaking the course record, but we never know because Berlin does have pacers, correct? So she will have people hopefully in there to run with and to pull her along a little bit if she doesn't have the other girls to run with, the other women in the field to run with. So she hopefully won't be running alone anyway. She got some great pacers in there. So yes, I would also go with Wanjiru. You, Michael?
Breaking things up here.
Good. I love it.
I'm going Dara Dida for the win.
All right.
This is her third marathon of the year, which I'm always a little cautious when someone's run 3 marathons in 1 year, but you look at the spacing, it's pretty good. She's finished second twice this year at 2 fairly deep, high quality marathons. Dubai at the beginning of January, at the beginning of the year, generally a fast course. Then she also, in Paris, ran a 2:20 and finished second. And Paris, which I've run, is not an easy race. Actually, it's a little trickier than it's a course you can run fast on, but it's not the easiest of races. And she did well there also. I think she's going to get the win. And she is also, I believe, married to our boy Tamarat Tola, the Olympic champion. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Fastest. This has to be the fastest marathoning couple in the world.
Well, yeah, like if you're doing their overall, like their added time together.
Oh yeah,
I feel like 4 hours 21 minutes.
I think their kid runs. You think they're going to have I don't know if they have any kids or not, but you think they're a little pressure? Be like,
I don't know.
The genes. The genes.
You know what, Michael? You can maybe take that title if your wife runs a 1 hour 35 marathon.
Brutal. She's arguably better than me in terms of if you do the conversions. But okay, so men's race. What do we got for the men's race, Mr. Sear? Who are you picking, and what are they going to run?
I'm going so soft and chalk here, but I can't not pick Sawe. Sawe's going to win. What's he going to run? I think that's the more interesting question. I think he goes 2:01 low. I think he barely grazes Eliud Kipchoge's course record of 2:01:09. I think it's going to be a positive split. I think he's going to go out really hard, something like 60 flat, and challenge the 2-hour mark. And I just think he needs another checkpoint before going there. He's cleared 2:02, 2:02:05 is his best. This time he's going to go, let's say 2:01:10. We'll leave Kipper with the record. He'll be parked there for a while, and then he's going to take another crack at it, eventually be a 2-flat guy. I think Sawe's got it in him. I think 2:01 low this time.
So you think, Alex, that he's going to change his strategy, his London strategy? You think he's going to go out really hot off the blocks?
I think he sees an opportunity there, and I think that's going to drag a lot of runners with him because the quality is there in the men's field. And I think it's going to be a bit of a blow-up fest because everyone's going to try to run faster than they ever have. And quite a few of them will hold on and the results will look amazing, but it will be littered with positive splits.
And I was totally hoping for the opposite. I was like, he's gonna keep his head down. He's gonna do the same strategy as London. He's gonna be really smart about it. He's gonna be a little conservative, and then he's just gonna blast everybody out of the water in the second half. But I don't know. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what he ends up doing in the end. But yeah, of course, I'm on your team with Sawe. I mean, how can we not about seeing him race in his first 2 marathons? I mean, we can't bet against him. I mean, it would be an upset, I think, if someone gets by him.
What time is he going to run?
Should I go against Alex? What if I say 2?
Going Price is Right here?
Price is
we're
Right
going
rules.
Price is Right. Let's go. Okay, I want to go to the Price is Right. You said 2, what did you say? 2:01:10.
2:01:10.
2:01:10. So what if I go 2:01:07, breaks the course record?
What was the time I was picking? God.
Are you?
Ooh, wow.
Oh no, sorry.
So we're all within 3
sorry.
seconds?
Yeah. So
Good
I'm going
God.
Sawe.
Okay.
15 is the first half split. They're putting themselves in sub 2 territory.
Okay.
No one will dare run a 59 opening split, at least not until someone breaks the 2-hour barrier in a legit race. And then I think he fades a little bit, but I think he gets just under Kipchoge's course record, and he becomes a 2:01 runner. And then we start talking about, is this the next great runner? We start talking like, do we take the crown from Mr. Kipchoge and do we move it? The crown, let's be honest. The Kipper doesn't have the crown anymore. He's the keeper of the crown. He's holding on to the crown. He's got it in the little like weird crown bed thing in the little box they keep the crown in. This crown that I'm just making up in my head right now, the Marathon goat crown.
I'm picturing it. It's purple.
The men's, it's purple. There's like it's a royal.
Yeah.
Yes. There's rubies and sapphires and whatnot encrusted on the thing. It lives at Kipchoge's house until it gets turned over. It was like they were sizing the. It's very complicated when it's a smaller or bigger head. They have to like shift the gold. To melt it, they have to take a little piece out. It's very complicated. And Jacob Kiplimo, he's eyeing the crown, but he's got a long way to go. But they're looking at Sawe and they're thinking like, Sawe's got a 7 3/4 head size, new era cap. So see if the crown might fit his head. I think that's what we're looking at right now.
Getting into some weird Cinderella territory here.
Yeah.
I love it.
The Glass Pro Evo 2 fits. Yeah, I think it does fit Mr. Sawe's foot. It very well may. All right. Next, that's like a burning question is like, who does better this fall? Is it Sawe in Berlin or is it Jacob Kiplimo or John Career in Chicago? That's cool. That's exciting that this is happening, right?
Kind of wish they were all racing each other.
Oh, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Wow.
If this were London, they would have made that happen. Okay, gang. Final thoughts here. Oh, let's do it.
Are we power ranking?
We feel like I need to have like music and like a deep, like booming, echoey voice, like power ranking the World Marathon Majors. We do this as a tortured exercise for every major preview. It is our entirely subjective, totally made up individual power rankings of the World Marathon Majors from our vantage point and whatever way we feel we should be power ranking them. Let's do this. Sear, give me You're 7 in. Can you do reverse order?
Yeah,
For 7 to 1?
I
Let's
kept
build
thinking
up
we
some
usually do
anticipation.
1 to 7, and it's getting
just kills it.
old. So let's go 7 to 1.
Okay.
So 7, Sydney.
Oof.
6, Berlin.
Oh.
5, Tokyo. 4, Chicago. 3, New York. 2, Boston. 1, as always, for me. I love the idea of this race. I want to do it. London.
And we're running it together.
And we're running it together.
Running together.
Yeah, so I'm
Running it together.
proactively ranking it first. It's going to be awesome when I drop your asses.
Hey, London number
What?
1.
Alex. Rude.
Brutal.
There goes the pod.
Katelyn Tossi, give us your power rankings.
Okay. 7, Sydney. 6, Tokyo. 5, Chicago. 4, Berlin.
Ooh.
3, New York. 2, London, our marathon. And Boston has still not lost its number 1 spot on my list.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a little
Homer.
biased. with
Hometown
Boston.
girl loves
Yeah.
her Boston Marathon.
Yep.
It's the first one. It is.
It's
special. It's special. Okay.
See if
I got-
Michael's has changed. Go.
Number 7, Tokyo. Number 6, Berlin. Number 5, Sydney.
What do you-
climbing the
What
ranks.
happened?
The commenters, they got at you.
They got to you. They got to you.
me. That's what happens. Yeah. No, I think that there's a nice little afterglow growing. And I think that there's some people that are like, hey, I want to go run Sydney. So I'm ranking it in that respect.
Okay.
That could change drastically. Just give it one more major preview and it's going to drop down again. Number 4, Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Boston. Number 2, London. And number 1, the New York City Marathon, the greatest race on earth.
That never changes for
Happening this
Michael.
Yeah, Michael's New York, Caitlin's
Yeah,
Boston, and I'm
yep.
London.
Yep.
Final thoughts, guys. Jacket. Have you seen the jacket? What do you think? The Berlin jacket?
Love it.
The World Marathon Major jacket. It's a coveted thing. Yeah. What's the take?
Cyberpunk.
Jacket. Buy it.
I love the jacket because of the
Instant buy?
colors. Green, pink, and like this bright pink on the back, the blue. I love the colors. I'm all about this jacket. Yep.
Yeah, it's like Cyberpunk.
like
At-
Oh, yeah,
at,
cool.
at the World Athletics Championships, India has that singlet, like the baby blue with the neon green, and it just bounces off the track. It kind of reminds me of that.
There's like a darker, it's called collegiate navy. And then it's an Adidas jacket. So it's got a similar cut and look to the Boston Marathon jacket because they're both made by Adidas. It's got a very tasteful series of blazons. It's got the Berlin Marathon 2025 on the over the heart on the left chest area. And then it's got it larger on the back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a seafoam green, and I would call that like electric pink. Electric violet. There would be like the shoe. Shoes? They always have like these BS colorway names. It's like electric violet would be Berghain violet. There we go.
And I love the pink stripes on the arms and the zipper details.
Yeah.
That looks really nice.
So it's a buy. This jacket's a buy. 120 euros. You can order it online. Be weird to buy a jacket for a race you didn't run, but theoretically you could. I would never do it, but
Bad luck. Don't do it.
it's bad luck.
Don't do
It's
it. Don't
bad
do it.
juju. Exactly. All right, guys. We did it. Berlin Marathon happening this Sunday. We will be doing an instant reaction podcast moments after the Berlin Marathon wraps. We will jump into the studio and crank out a pod very quickly with our thoughts on Mr. Sawe's performance, Miss Wanjiru's performance, what the race vibes were like. Also, coming down the pipe. I think it's pike.
I think it's Pike, weirdly.
But everyone says pipe, right?
Everyone does
Because
say
imagine
pipe.
it coming down
Because
a
you think
pipe.
like the
a
pipeline.
gutter.
You
Yeah,
think-
like
yeah.
a gutter.
Coming down the content pipeline, Marathon Handbook. I mentioned that I almost got locked in a cemetery last night running. I was wearing the Nike Vomero Premium shoe. I got thoughts. I got lots
Ooh.
of thoughts.
Nice.
complicated thoughts. Is it the weirdest shoe I've ever worn? No. But is it making my top 10 weirdest shoes I've ever worn list? Maybe. I'm going to do a couple more runs in it, but I've got thoughts. So we will have a video reviewing that shoe in the near future. Got some shoes coming up on Instagram that we're going to post, including a really slick Keith Haring, the deceased artist, the legendary New York street artist. His estate has done a collab with Saucony. So it's the Saucony Endorphin shoe with the Keith Haring art on it. Very slick, as New York is forthcoming. Apple Watch Ultra 3, AirPods Pro 3. Going to have some reviews of those from the vantage point of the runner specifically. I think these are very interesting products. What else? Rory Linkletter, elite Canadian American marathoner. He is going to try to run the Canadian record, the North American record as well, because it is Canadian. Oh, Canada. In Chicago. He is a great personality in the marathon running scene. I did an in-depth interview with him about a week ago. We're going to put it up, I think, this weekend. It is a fantastic conversation. He had some takes. He shared all the details of how he trains. Lovely guy to speak with. Great interview. Told me why Mormons are kicking ass in the marathon right now.
Nice.
I had to ask, Pete Fitzinger. They say never meet your heroes. Pete Fitzinger wrote Advanced Marathoning, a book with a very intimidating title. That is a book that helped shape me as a runner. So I got to interview Pete. He lives in New Zealand. He went to the Olympics for the United States and ran the marathon twice, and is a sports science wizard and a legendary thinker in the marathon and advanced marathoning, as I told him in the podcast, is on my Mount Rushmore of running books. And we did an interview with him. I'm going to make sure that goes up in the next week or so as well. We're just like, all of a sudden, it's just like podcast content. It's raining podcast content. Final thing. Yes.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's a rush to get these things out before the majors. But I think you were going to mention one of the big marathons that we're covering this fall.
The three of us and Kosuke will descend upon the Chicago Marathon. If you're this deep into the podcast, I guess you enjoy listening to us talk. So I think we're going to do some sort of live recording of our pod. I'm not sure if we're going to try to do we're going to look at venues and that sort of thing. So TBD on that one. But one thing I think we will do, guys, is I think we'll get together and just do a run together. This is not going to be the big brand co-sponsored shakeout run with the photographers and the videographers for Instagram looming about. This is going to be more like Alex, Katelyn, and Michael are going to go for a run.
Yeah.
And if you're in Chicago, send us an email, podcast@marathonhandbook.com. If you want to come for a run with us, I think we're going to try to organize some sort of like informal run. If it happens in the morning, we'll go for a coffee afterwards. And if it happens afternoon, because I have a family rule, we don't drink alcohol before 12 noon, maybe we'll go for a beer. If you're running the race, I'd say maybe abstain from that. And we'll just maybe we'll go get a smoothie or something. But we'll do some sort of run, three of us in Chicago. And then let's tease them. We're definitely going to New York. We're doing a lot of neat stuff in New York. We won't get to that yet, but Katelyn Tossey's not going back to Costa Rica after Chicago.
Nope.
She's flying to Toronto.
Hey.
Finally coming to Canada. Can't wait.
Finally.
Yep. If we let her in, she's going to come to Toronto. Then we got some special stuff planned. We will talk about that next week. Can't quite talk about it yet. We're going to do some fun stuff in Toronto the following week. There might be a marathon the week after Chicago in the city of Toronto. Maybe. There's a teaser for that. Okay, gang.
All right.
Until next week, send us your questions, your thoughts. Podcast@marathonhandbook.com, and we will do our big fall mailbag episode next week. Until then, talk to you then, guys.